single game. We're not up in these guys' faces. There's an obvious communication problem with these guys not being able to switch over in the zone defensive play when these guys are running wide open across the middle. We were not playing aggressive defense. We're playing, respond defense. We're not attacking. Nobody's getting up on his receivers. You got 5 yards. At least give them a little jam. We got, 3 of the fastest defensive backs in the league with Stokes and Amari and, maybe not Douglas, but he's got wheels. I don't understand this defense at all. And I don't understand when you score all these points in the first half, why the second half we're laying such an egg.
Right.
Why is it we keep trying to air out the football when you got 2 of the best backs? Why is it when you're inside the 10, you got to keep going to the shotgun where we see, we got our butt kicked against Tampa Bay in this so-called shotgun inside the 10. Got kicked against San Francisco last year when we're going shotgun inside the 10. It's ridiculous. Play to your strengths. Don't worry about if they stack the box. Doesn't mean they're going to blitz. They could back out of it. Just keep pounding the rock. Like you were saying, 19 times for 2 of the top 2 running backs in the league. And when you have them in the game, you're moving the chains. And when you take them out, you stall. I don't get this coaching philosophy whatsoever. And I don't know if it's Rodgers changing plays or if it's LaFleur calling the plays, but it just seems this is ridiculous. And if they don't make adjustments soon, we're going to be in the top 10 picking next year.
Yeah, it's no, I agree. Appreciate the phone call. I don't know about the top 10 pick, but I do know that the second half of these ball games, the fact that they keep saying we have not played a complete game, they're 100% true. They're correct. They haven't played a complete game. At what point do you say, maybe you need to change the philosophy? Maybe you need to change the way you do things or the apathy that you approach the second half with. That might be a better question. What do you do different in the second half? I'll tell you what I see. And I had mentioned this to Eric Baranczyk. He said the exact same thing. I see a defensive coordinator that is not aggressive at all. And I see the first 20, 25 offensive plays that are scripted, as Aaron Rodgers has alluded to. Creativity, good flow. Even if it doesn't work, you still come back in the next drive and you get some things going. A lot of different stuff. Motion, movement, misdirection, play action, dink and dunk, run the ball, under center, in shotgun, all of that mixed up. Second half, nothing. I don't see that creativity. I don't know where it goes. That's the trend that I see, and that's the trend that's been this way pretty much all season long. 877-867-1670. Find us. Thank all of you joining us again over on the Bud Light live stream. We appreciate it. I know it's been kind of a weird day with everything going on via the internet and the outage and stuff in the area, but appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. So thanks for hanging out with us. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Kunis RV. Go to KunisRV.com, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Go to KunisRV.com, K-U-N-E-S, KunisRV.com. That is Kunis, K-U-N-E-S, KunisRV.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This fall, it's Give and Take at Potawatomi. Thursday nights, give yourself a shot at winning slot play or up to $5,000. And with 60 winners each week, you've got a good chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. Just play with your club card October 1st through November 17th for entries. The Give and Take Game Show each Thursday and only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More at pacebig.com/give and take. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers lose to the Giants 27-22. It's the worst upset the Packers have suffered since 2018 when they were 13-point favorites and lost to the Cardinals. Mike McCarthy was fired after that game. Green Bay led 20-10 at halftime and never scored again until a safety in the final moments. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
The margin of error for us in winning is small. So we have to make those plays, especially when you're playing against a good football team. And the Giants are a good football team. They're 4-1. I got to make the throws that are necessary. We got to come up with the catches. We got to run the ball. We got to force some turnovers on teams or on defense. When you get the opportunities, we got to make those plays because we're not sharp enough yet to have a wider margin of error.
Alan Lazard.
The second half as a whole, we've obviously struggled in offensively. I think it's just we're only a few plays away, whether it's a turnover, an explosion, a touchdown.
On defense, the Packers held Giants running back Saquon Barkley to just 70 yards on 13 carries, but one of those was a 40-yard run. Nose tackle Kenny Clark.
We gave up that big play and that wildcat run. We just can't give up explosives. When you talk about defense, you can play 1,000 plays good, and that one play, that one explosive play can change the game. So as far as the run game, happy about how we contain Saquon for the most part.
The Giants are now 4-1, off to their best start in 13 years. Was this a statement game? Saquon Barkley.
I don't think it's a statement to the rest of the league, to be completely honest. It's the NFL. There's a reason why we're 4-1, and that's because of the process, and that's because we got guys coming to work and believing in the system and setting the culture, setting the standard, and following it.
That's Giants running back Saquon Barkley. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. Good to have you. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Pella. Love that place. Pella Windows and Doors. Love it. Love the new door that they just installed at the house. They have got some great financing going on right now, but I can't tell you enough. You probably felt it a little bit over the weekend. There was some frost down below 30 degrees, and we know it's coming. It's going to get here sooner rather than later. We got a couple of nice days this week, but then it's going to get cool again. So if you want to get your house more economical, sealed up, ready, nice, cozy for the long winter, now's the time to do it. Call our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to 855-PELLA-WI. That is 855-PELLA. 855-PELLA WI, or go to PellaWI.com. They have some great financing opportunities right now. And if you want to do one window, one door, that's fine. But if you want to do a whole bunch, get the whole house done, I recommend it. Get a hold of the finance group over there. They can help you out. Go to PellaWI.com. That is Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com. So, Ben, is there a different angle to this that we're missing in your thought?
Well, I mean, the vibe around the team is clearly poor. I guess my thought waking up today, and I was talking to my friend about this yesterday after the game, is what is this team's actual identity? Like when we sit back and talk about how they performed, obviously the loss yesterday makes the Patriots game feel worse. It probably makes the Bucs game feel worse as well, as you've mentioned with Paul Charchian's tweet. But I look forward and I would think, okay, this team's identity is running the football, at least having an efficient offense. Entering the season, I thought it would be the defense. I don't think I can sit here right now and say they have a single identity or a single thing they consistently do great. Because even the things they do great, they stop doing them as the games go along.
Yeah, I would. And again, you go back and you kind of defer to coaching. And you say, what is philosophically speaking, what is it? What are you doing? Because if you don't have the ability to either one say, hey, we're going to keep running it until you stop us, then you got to have an alternative. You got to have something else that is going to be as successful. You know what I mean? Or you believe it's going to be as successful. It's just the second half of games for this team is just stale. For lack of a better term, it's just stale, right?
Yes. So defensively, 100%, I agree with the coaching angle. While there also has been some poor execution on the field, maybe this is just how I view the sport generally. But when we talk about offense, and yes, probably LaFleur hasn't done the best job of in-game adjustments in terms of play calling or returning to what's working. But at the end of the day, like he can make a call and then it goes through all of the cracks. But the last layer before it actually gets on the field is the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to me, at least, when the quarterback is at the line, especially Aaron Rodgers, he has the power to change into whatever he wants. And even in those play calls, it's up to him as to whether they're going to work at the end of the day. And the fact that they didn't during the second half, maybe it's just how I view the sport, but this team succeeds and also fails as Aaron Rodgers does under center. And down the stretch of that game, I mean, if he makes plays on that last drive, the Packers probably win the game.
Right.
If he checks to runs when, their passes were called, they probably win the game. Maybe it's just how I view the sport, but I think a lot of it is on him.
The middle of the line on those last two plays when they were 4th and 2 and 3rd and 2, that 4th and 2 play specifically, had they run behind the offensive line, which I thought Josh Myers did an amazing job just blowing up the nose tackle. If you watch that play again and again, just blew up the nose tackle, had him 5 yards downfield. You run behind that where the play, which could have looked like an RPO, you run behind that, you not only, they were at that point guarding against a touchdown versus the first down. I mean, they were coming outside, but the middle of the line had done its job. Josh Myers did its job, and they chose to pass the ball both times. I would agree with you that if Aaron Rodgers, going back to the questioning from Pete Doherty, when said, what is the play call? Why are you out in shotgun throwing the ball twice when the run game had been working pretty much all afternoon and you kind of abandoned it? And he said, I don't like where this is going, but, we know what he said. He didn't make the calls, but he likes the calls. This is a team that would rather throw the ball. And what really bothers me is they would rather throw the ball when they don't have the same amount of weaponry they've had in the past. They'd rather take a chance with guys they don't trust rather than with what's working. And to me, it's an indictment. It's a thought indictment of the capability of the offensive line. This was Aaron Rodgers specifically when he was asked real quick, you know what? I'll play it for you coming up in the next hour. We'll come out of the next hour. We'll hear this. But I want to go back to that. I think it was a microcosm of what's going on. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. The Admirals are back. Milwaukee Admirals hockey It's back. You want to get single game seats. You want to get season tickets, promotional tickets, whatever it happens to be. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. More coming up after this. Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Hour number 3 today. Packers get knocked off. And it's not that there isn't any hope. No, I'm not saying that, Dwayne. Dwayne says it sounds like there's no hope left. No, but they have to play a lot better. I mean, look, let's just call it what it is. Packers' expectation every year is Super Bowl or bust. I think we can all agree on that. So the question then becomes, is this a Super Bowl team? As of right now, hell no. Not even close. The one thing I think you have going for you, being a Packers fan, is the fact that really, do you believe the Giants are a Super Bowl team? Do you believe the Cowboys are a Super Bowl team? The Rams are done. The Eagles look for real. So they're the only undefeated team in the National Football League right now. They get a win yesterday, and the Cardinals completely mismanaged the clock. But I give the Eagles all kinds of credit for going into Arizona and getting a 2017 win. Big day yesterday for the Eagles. 5-0.
Fun game.
What'd you say, Ben?
Said it was a fun game.
It was a fun game.
I enjoyed it.
Ben is smiling.
Kyler did slide away the game, though.
Yes,
that was
did.
funny.
Yes, he did. Phillies get a win. They knocked the Cardinals out, so we applaud the Phillies. And then the Eagles get a win. They knocked off the Cardinals. Both Cardinals sets this past weekend get plugged by Philadelphia teams, and they're done. The Arizona Cardinals sitting at 2-3, and they don't appear, with or without Kyler Murray, to be any better than what they were. As a matter of fact, they seem worse. Meanwhile, the 49ers, they get a win. Matt Rule out, fired as the Carolina Panthers head coach. They look terrible. They get beat 37-15. The Saints, in a shootout with the Seahawks, get a 39-32 win. And all of a sudden, when you talk about the quarterback position down there, don't forget Jameis Winston's been banged up, but Andy Dalton did not look bad. He threw a pick, but he threw a touchdown, 16-24 for 187 yards, only sacked one time. Meanwhile, Geno Smith for the Seahawks, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 139.7 quarterback rating. Who knew that Geno Smith would look good? But nevertheless, an entertaining game. The Chargers struggled on the road in Cleveland, but ultimately they get a win. Cleveland Browns go to 2-3. Chargers are 3-2. The Vikings struggled with the Bears. The Vikings sit at 4-1. But do you really think they're a team that's, Super Bowl bound? And you're right, Pack fan. Yesterday, big day for Taysom Hill too, by the way, in that Saints game. Saints getting that win. Taysom Hill was kind of the game MVP. How about the Patriots shutting out the Lions? This was indicative. What was it? 6 or 7 games into it last year when Dan Campbell took over. They fought, and then they got shut out and just blown up. And the Lions were never the same. I get the sense that sitting at 1-4 and not being able to get over the hump and get another win might be a duplication of what we saw last year out of the Lions. I really thought they'd win 6 or 7 games this year, and no, they just looked awful up in New England. Titans eke out a win over the Commanders. Cincinnati, their offensive line sucks. They're not a Super Bowl bound team. 2-3. The Ravens got a lot of flaws. There's a lot of teams in the National Football League right now that are flawed. I think teams that if I had to pick right now that had real legitimate shots at getting to a Super Bowl, I think it's the Chiefs and the Bills over in the AFC. And right now, I think the Eagles, Cowboys, maybe, and 49ers in the NFC. That's it. Everybody else is mediocre at best. So the Packers are in the same pool as all the other kind of mediocre teams right now, and it doesn't mean they can't climb out of it, because the thing that they have that can tip the scale in their favors is obviously the quarterback. But everything right now in the National Football League is tepid at best. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Bob. Bob, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill, it's great to talk to you. Thank you for taking my call. I spoke to you quite a while ago, back when we had all the Rodgers saga about him going and leaving and everything, and that. It's been a while since I talked to you. Always a pleasure. But my frustration here is with this coaching staff. I've said it on your show that I have felt that the coaching staff of the Green Bay Packers is mediocre at best. I think Aaron Rodgers, although there's some fault here too, and I'll get to that, but I think Aaron Rodgers has saved more coaching positions in that organization than you can imagine in that. And when things get tough, you find out how good of a coaching staff you got. How in the world can you take and go to London and play a team that is so badly beat up and absolutely lay an egg the way these Packers did?
Right.
On top of going out in the first 2 to 3 series and looking like you're Super Bowl caliber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but that's coaching. That is coaching right there. This team has yet to play a full football game. It's pathetic. This loss here was worse, Bill, than the opening game with the Vikings. I didn't expect them to beat the Vikings. I figured they always start slow, for God's sakes, and they showed it again. But here we are, 5 weeks in the season, and you go and lay an egg the way you did against a beat-up New York Giants team.
Right.
It's unacceptable.
Yep.
My only comment about Rodgers is that I said early on about him, and that is that we did everything we could to keep him, everything to appease him, and so on. And I said before the season started, he better be the coming of Christ this year. And he has not been the coming of Christ.
Nope.
I listened to that game yesterday on the radio, and if I heard it once, I heard it 10 times. Overshot him. That's all he was doing. and that. What is wrong with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm just airing out my rant here today, and I'll hang up and listen.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. He's right. And we always look at the passing game and we blame the receivers. Well, they're not on the same page. They're not on the same page with Rodgers. But at some point, I'm not saying it's got to just kind of come together, but I agree. And I just don't think, much like, we had heard earlier, they're just not that good. Romeo Doubs is maybe a star in the making. I don't know yet. I think it's too early to even proclaim that. Maybe though, possibly, certainly good hands, catches things out in front, has the ability to get open, get some separation. Christian Watson to this point has been basically nothing, and an injury waiting to happen. Not a whole lot there. Alan Lazard's Alan Lazard. Randall Cobb has become, whether or not he's 2016 Randall Cobb or not, that's fine, but he was never Randall Cobb on the same level as Devontae Adams. You've got to use Tunyon more. You're going to have to use the backs more, whether it's as running backs or backs out of the backfield, and that's the way you're going to have to get it done until you figure out a way, or somebody figures out a way to get open and get separation downfield and get some deep passes that actually becomes a threat. And I don't think you're going to do that until maybe you go find OBJ or say, if today you wake up, if you're the Brian Gutekunst, if today you wake up and you say, yeah, we're good with what we got. Oh, by the way, we're going to get Sammy Watkins back. If that's what you're banking on, I think you're doing a disservice to the team. Just my opinion. I think you're doing a disservice to the team because I think it's you need it. You need something else that's going to give you a threat. Now we'll have to wait and see whether or not he's capable of playing. But if he is, I'll tell you this: if OBJ comes back, unless of course he says, "I do not want to go in any way, shape, or form to the Green Bay Packers," then there's nothing you can do. Give it a shot. If he doesn't want to play for you, it is what it is. Okay? But if there's a shot at getting him and you choose not to, then that's on the Packers because you need that downfield threat. You need him. You need a guy like that. If he still has it, you need a guy like that. No doubt about it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Patrick says Pack constantly has key players injured year after year. Complicated fellow OBJ with a repaired ACL is not a slam dunk. He may be a step slower, but let me ask you this though: even if he is a step slower, is he better than what you have right now? Christian Watson not staying on the field. Sammy Watkins not staying on the field. Doubs is good. I think he'll really emerge into a decent wide receiver, but even that's still too early to tell. Certainly has the work ethic to do so, but still too early to tell. I don't know. I don't know where else you go. But I'll tell you this. I would already be looking towards next year as either a free agent signing or you better draft yourself with that first round pick, whether it's up or down in the draft. You better be moving around to get yourself a wide receiver. Another or two wide receiver. Just an FYI. This is Cheddar Ball says, as old as Ask Vic used to say, help is not on the way. You work with what you have now. You could have help if OBJ is healthy, you could have some help because he's a guy you have to pay attention to. But going back to the question, is an OBJ with a repaired ACL, is he better than what you have now? You tell me. I would think so, but you tell me. Guy that's been there, done that? Hell yeah. A guy that Aaron Rodgers has talked about pining for? Hell yeah. You bet. 877-867-1670. 1670. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Gerard. Gerard, welcome to the program, man. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, hey, Bill, Eric Baranczyk, exactly correct. Everything he said. This is what at least I have and many Packer fans said after the Viking loss. Look, Walker is either not that great or he's being misused. Because I see him every time he runs to the quarterback, he runs into the guard straight on. He doesn't hit the gaps. Okay? So here we're looking at 2 first-round picks. One can't get on the field. The other one doesn't know what he's doing on the field. The other guy's injury-prone in the beginning. I'm not going to say he's injury-prone, but you know what I'm saying, Watson. And then our third-round pick, he doesn't even get dressed, the offensive lineman. He doesn't even get dressed.
Right.
So, you know, when we were looking at this year a top 5 defense. Okay? Why? It's not because of the players, Bill. It's because of the coaching.
Right.
So you're saying you're not panicking yet. If it doesn't change, Bill, we always say the same thing, mental illness, being insane. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, right? We always, that's a common saying. So what is going to change, Bill, that are they going to start to blitz more? Did you see what the Giants did yesterday with 100 times less talent than the Packers? They played aggressively, blitzed, did everything, ran all these plays and all these different offset plays.
They balled out, man, no doubt.
You know what I mean? The Packers don't do anything. But the Packers have more talent, and they don't use it.
Yeah.
Just like we're saying. So basically, Bill, it's going to come down to either the coaching staff is going to have to change their philosophy, or they're going to, or Barry at the end of the year. Look, they just fired the Panthers coach, right? And the whole bit, or something has to change. LaFleur said at halftime, he said our defense has to go get the ball. Well, they didn't. They didn't. So what is he just talking? The whole bit. And what Rodgers said to Doherty, and Doherty was a legit question. It was an absolute legit question. And he has to go through this diatribe, Rodgers, up there saying, well, I don't like the question. I don't think the question is this and this and that. And then he answers it anyway. I mean, come on with this. Come on. We see Eric Baranczyk and all these other people. He sees it. A lot of other people, they may see it, but they don't say anything.
Right.
But this is what talk radio is all about. But this is ridiculous. Unless the coaching philosophy changes, the team's not going to change. This is a 500 team unless he changes. Seriously, Bill.
Yep.
Think about it.
No, I agree.
Think about it. If you have the talent and you misuse it, Bill, what's the point?
Exactly.
What's the point?
Well, we've seen this in the past. I appreciate the phone call, Gerard. I mean, when you look at quality teams that have had players together, sometimes you have to make sure the locker room melds. That I agree with. But other times it's just put guys in the right place to make plays. I don't know if it's a dictation or if it is Joe Barry saying, no, we're going to do it this way. This is the way I want to do it. And guys are like, this isn't working. I don't know. We're only 5 games in. It seems weird to say there's still 12 games left. There's plenty of time to turn this around. I 100% agree. We're only 5 games in. But right now, what you see and what we've seen does not give you a ton of hope. Because it has been a tale of 2 halves all season long. This whole thing about, we got to put a whole game together. I think that's on coaching. I think it's on coaching more than anything. Just my opinion. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Quick Trip. They have the opening drive contest. Now, what this means is you stop in, you get some gas, you type in your Quick Rewards card number, which is your phone number. Okay, get a Quick Rewards card, type it in, fill up, and then you're automatically registered. 1 person a week will be chosen with the opening drive, and a 1 weekly winner is going to win $10 of a gas card for every yard they earn on the Packers opening drive, which the opening drives actually have not been that bad. You can get yourself some extra gas. Only at Quick Trip with the opening drive contest, and Quick Trip, the proud partner of Packers football. That's the place you go and you get your tailgate supplies. That's the place you go when you're going to kind of hang out at the house where you get your beverages. You get your breakfast sandwiches in the morning on the way to Lambeau or something like that. But they are a proud supporter of Packers football, and they too are hoping the Packers make a few changes, get a little more tenacious, and get some wins. Stay tuned. We got more after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This fall, it's give and take at Potawatomi. Thursday nights, give yourself a shot at winning slot play or up to $5,000. And with 60 winners each week, you've got a good chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. Just play with your club card October 1st through November 17th for entries. The Give and Take Game Show, each Thursday and only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More at pacebig.com/give and take. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're going. I can't say that I love that line of questioning, but you make a good point, Pete. I think it's something to think about. Again, I'm not making those calls. I do like all three of those calls, 100%. And I felt like we were really close to executing. The difference between a ball that's high and a ball that's on Kabi is the difference between a 3 and out and who knows, and being up here and answering that question. So that's the beauty in this game, is that it comes down to some very small dimensions between winning and losing. But it's a valid point you make. But we get a call, we try and execute it, and there was at least 2 opportunities to get first downs there.
Welcome back. 3 straight passes. What are you doing? 3 and outs. 3 straight calls to get a couple of yards. Yeah, not working. So understandable. Some frustration on behalf of the starting quarterback, without a doubt. Getting reaction. By the way, we got stock up and stock down coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But getting reaction over on the Twitter feed. Badger Base says the fault lies 100% with Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur for even hiring him. No excuse for a defense with 7 first-round picks to play that poorly. Barry's horrid resume finally has exposed him. Fire him like Paul Christ right now. This is from the Mega Packer fan, who says Joe Barry needs to go. Matt LaFleur has to go right behind him if he doesn't have the balls to fire him, because this was his hire and you're playing a milquetoast defense. Lauren says, I have never seen a defense with this much talent play so scared. And this is also from Charlie. Charlie says, not a fan of Joe Barry's, never have been. I don't think they're going to make a change mid-season, but something has to happen here. Somebody light a fire under Barry, because his defense is better than this. They should be leading this team. And then the Honey Badger says, what the hell happened to actually getting turnovers? This team can't get near the football and even sniff a turnover right now. They're playing on their heels so much. That's from the Honey Badger. So a lot of people piling on Joe Barry to a certain extent. This is from Rick. Says, Mike LaFleur is watching this vanilla zone defense and licking his chops. There's never a point where Wilson will be confused by a Joe Barry defense. Gee, will it be too high zone or too high zone? I get it. I completely get it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Mike says the Packers right now look like an average team at best, led by the attitude of their quarterback. He doesn't want to hear anybody talk negatively, but everybody knows there's negative in that room. So why not address it, be a leader, and let's overcome, rather than telling everybody just make it go away. Look, the whole mentality thing, I'm not putting that on Aaron Rodgers. I'm just not. I think Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a quarterback. I think that he's got a decent offensive line. He's got a really good run game. He's got an above-average tight end. I think he's got average at best wide receivers. I think you can make something of this. I think the creativity, just from my own perspective in this, watching motion, watching guys move, seeing and we've seen this earlier this year. We saw both running backs in the backfield at the same time. Yesterday, that seemed to be almost non-existent. It just seems like there's no rhythm and flow to things right now. They come up with a really good game plan. They say, let's attack this. They do. And then once they get past whatever scripted plays it is, and the defense says, okay, let's try this against what it is they're doing, it's like they back off and go, okay, we'll just go back. We'll just put it in the hands of Aaron Rodgers. And then you rely a lot on your defense. Let's go to Bruce. Bruce, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Mike. I really appreciate it. A lot of good points made here today. I've never been a Joe Barry fan, but I'm not laying it all at his feet. The defense spent most of the second half on the field. I really, honestly, as good as Aaron Rodgers is, he should be able to make some of these receivers look better. And I do see some real bright spots with these guys. what I saw from Aaron Rodgers this weekend was constant overthrows or underthrows. He had 2 touchdown passes that were, if he just throws it above the defender, puts it on the outside for Alan Lazard above the defender, those are touchdown passes or the zone. He really had a bad game. And I'll leave it at that. I really appreciate being on the show.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. A lot of good calls today. A lot of good stuff today. Certainly appreciate it. This is from Thomas. Thomas says, are you kidding me? This is on Matt LaFleur. He's the head coach. Quit blaming Joe Barry. We all can see he's an idiot, but it's time for Matt LaFleur to stand up and actually either make a move or tell Joe Barry to get off his ass and start utilizing these guys in the positions they're so deserving of. Last year, when this team started flying around the football, they started creating turnovers. We know Rasul Douglas was high on that, and that was one of the things that got him a nice contract. He has nothing this year, and I watch this team commit error after error, penalty after penalty, because they're grabbing and playing from behind rather than playing aggressive and from up front. Appreciate the email. Okay, on that note, let's do this. And then Chris says 12 is on the decline. Why? Why would you say that? That I don't, is there some indicator? Last year he had an incredible year. They said the same thing about Tom Brady year after year after year after year after year. Guy's 45 and he still plays at a pretty good level. And even if 12, let's just say you're right. Let's say Aaron Rodgers is on the decline. Aaron Rodgers is still a better quarterback. Still a better quarterback than a majority of quarterbacks in the National Football League. And he's more mentally prepared than damn near anybody. He does fall into handicap categories at times. That I'll agree with. But he's still better. That's why I can't sit here and just lay it at his feet. I think it's collective. 877-867-1670. Hit us up again. 877-867-1670. When we come back, stock up, stock down. That's coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show. Stay tuned.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We all love a Wisconsin success story. And if you're in Humburg, Wisconsin, you have to visit one. Maybe you're a steak lover or a connoisseur of ribs or chops, or you just want to visit a generational family farm. Check out my friends at Scholze Family Beef. They have a good old-fashioned farm store right there on site. You can drive up in the car, the truck, or even the UTV and just walk on in. That's the Scholze Family Farm in Humburg, Wisconsin. Or if you want to place an order from home, go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com. That's SCHOLZE FamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Your opponent giving you one at the end, but nevertheless, the Eagles sitting at 5-0, the only undefeated team in the National Football League right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. And they are mighty right now with stock up. And in addition to that, I mean, their quarterback, when you talk about Jalen Hurts and what he's been able to do, 26 of 36 yesterday. No touchdowns, no picks, 239 yards. Kept the chains moving, 139 yards rushing yesterday out of that group as well. But 15 carries, 61 yards for Jalen Hurts, who gets into the end zone running the football, not once but twice. Kyler Murray, on the other hand, 28 of 42, 250 yards, quarterback rating of 80.5, threw a touchdown, threw a pick. And Kyler Murray, 4 carries, 42 yards, did not get into the end zone and was somewhat of a detriment. So stock up Jalen Hurts and the gang.
Shout out
from the Philadelphia Eagles. There you go.
Shout out to Cardinals fans for allowing Eagles fans to take up 70% of that stadium. Tough Monday for them. I should amend the intro because this should not only include football. I cannot begin this segment without giving a proper ode, Bill, to the career of Albert Pujols, to the career of Yadier Molina, to probably the career of Adam Wainwright, to the presence of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals are dead. The Phillies killed them this weekend. The best fans in baseball were leaving in the 9th inning when the team was choking games. The Cardinal way really just meant making errors on every single ground ball in the infield. So stock down the St. Louis Cardinals, but happy trails, Pujols and Molina. It's been fun, but it was awesome to watch it come to an end this weekend.
Out! Took a lot of pleasure in watching the St. Louis Cardinals fall over the weekend. I have to admit that. I really did. Stock down. I will stay right here at home, and I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers, more so with the coaching staff. I believe that there is a trend now in the inability to adjust to whatever teams are doing against you. Once you get past your scripted plays, Joe Barry is playing a soft, cowardly defense. Matt LaFleur is running his first 20 to 25, 30 plays. And then after that, seemingly at least, if you just look statistically at this team, second half of games, they just don't have a clue. 65 points in the first half of games, only 27 points in the second half. For whatever teams are doing against them, the old halftime adjustment, if you want to call it that, which is kind of a joke, but they don't have an answer right now. And that is, I'm going to lay it at the feet of coaching at this point. So there you go. Stock down, the Green Bay Packers coaching staff. Ben?
I'll take a side step to our backyard, our other backyard. Stock up, Mr. Jim Leonard.
Right.
A crazy week of Wisconsin football, and they played a team in Northwestern that might not even be good enough to play in the FBS. They're horrible, but they did all you can ask, really. They came out hot. Really, we saw RPOs from Mertz. We saw the pistol. Bobby Ingram, offensive coordinator, had a day. There's some fun back in the building there, and I can feel it. They're going on the road to Michigan State, who also sucks this weekend. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but the juice and the fun has returned to the Wisconsin football program.
Yep. For a limited time. Let's make that clear. For a limited time. You hope that it continues. I'm still holding my breath, but that was an inspired performance in traditionally a craptastic area that they're not known for winning. And also, you know what? I give it up to the fans that went there. Did you listen to the fans? I mean, the fans actually made some noise down there. Now, granted, they had some things to cheer about. Don't get me wrong, but the fans made some noise. I was happy with that. So stock up for the Wisconsin Badger fans that actually went yesterday or on Saturday down to Evanston and made it actually a little bit more pleasing environment. So I was happy with that. Let's go some stock up here. I got to go with the Buffalo Bills. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. That's what good teams do. You beat the crap out of a team that comes in and is not traditionally a good powerhouse in the Pittsburgh Steelers, but you take no prisoners because you are gearing up for what is to come next week. And that is your square up matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs. 38-3, they absolutely drilled the Steelers in that contest yesterday. And looking at Josh Allen, 20 of 31, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns, did have the 1 pick off the shoulder pads, but nevertheless, 4 touchdowns. Big day yesterday for Josh Allen and the gang and the Buffalo Bills. There you have it.
Stock down, Bill. I assume you spent your Saturday night doing something better than how I spent it. I watched Iowa against Illinois, which was just a remarkable display of ineptitude. Illinois won the game 9-6, and they're now ranked. I'm going to read you a tweet, though, because this perfectly encaptures how horrible the Iowa Hawkeyes are at playing offense. They punted from their own 16. This is in the third quarter. They recovered a muffed punt of Illinois at the Illinois 35. get the ball back. They go 3 plays, -6 yards back to the 41 and punt. The defense comes out on the field. They force a fumble. The first play recovered at the 5-yard line. The Hawkeye offense then goes 4 plays for -4 yards and kicks a field goal. They had a 15-play, -10-yard, 76 punt yard field goal drive, and they lose 9-6. So I don't even think it's stock down because they don't have a stock, but there you go. That was my favorite thing from the weekend.
There you have it. That is stock down on that side. On the opposite side, or on the other side of stock down, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. They got blanked. I mean, shut out in an awful performance in New England. 29-0. 29-0. Jared Goff, 19 of 35, 229 yards, threw a pick. But again, Bailey Zappi, 17 of 21, threw a pick, threw a touchdown. The one touchdown, the 24-yard shot to Myers, he hit. And they ran the ball incredibly effectively, 25 carries, 61 yards for Stevenson, who did not get into the end zone, by the way. They didn't have a rushing touchdown. But it just, how can they be this bad, the Detroit Lions, after so many close calls, and you just think you're going to get over the top, you're going to get over the top, you're going to get over the top, and they just can't get out of their own way. Yesterday might have been the beginning of the end for Dan Campbell if they are not able to come out of this and turn it around. Stock down there.
Yeah, that attitude from the coach works better when you're winning.
Right.
When you are getting blown out, you wonder how the message is received. I had to throw one final thing in here.
Sure.
I don't know if you spent time last night watching the New York Mets just completely collapse and piss away an 101 win season.
Buck Showalter burnt up a bunch of grass with the path back and forth between the dugout and the pitcher's mound yesterday. I know that.
To check the ears, yes. They brought in Edwin Diaz down 4-0 in the 8th inning with 2 runners on. The Mets had only garnered 1 hit. They were completely lifeless. They were dead. They were not winning the game. But Edwin Diaz entered to the trumpets, the thing that took the world by storm during the summer. Mm-hmm. It was the most hilarious thing I have ever witnessed. You had Mr. Met trying to make a living wage playing the trumpet. You had Padre fans in the building cheering. And then you had Diaz come in and give up 2 runs, and the Padres win 6-0, and the Mets are dead.
Yep. And the Mets are dead. There you go. The Mets are dead. Ding dong, the Mets are dead, which would then propel them, I would assume, to go even harder after one David Stearns. Real quick, stock up and stock down. I'm going to give it in the same game. Stock down, Matthew Stafford just looks bad, for lack of a better term. 86.2 quarterback rating, 28 of 42, 308 yards, touchdown and a pick. They're not running the ball very well. The defending champions are dead in the water. I'm proclaiming them dead. If I was a Wayne Larrabee dagger right now, I'd be flinging myself at them. The Rams are done. On the opposite side, in the exact same game, he didn't do much at all. But between Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, they ran for 164 yards yesterday. Cooper Rush is now, 4-0 as a starter, 10 of 16, 102 yards, doing just enough. CeeDee Lamb, 5 catches, 53 yards. But they moved the football. They picked up some first downs. Their defense is carrying them. But do we have a true quarterback controversy, yay or nay, in Dallas? We will only wait and see. But this is like a dream come true. And has Cooper Rush saved the job and possibly the quarterback school reputation of I'm a highly successful football coach. Mike McCarthy.
Let's just state the facts. I'm a highly successful NFL head coach.
There you go. Has Cooper Rush put an emphatic stamp on Mike McCarthy's career and being able to get wins with a backup quarterback? Who knows? But Stafford looking awful. There you have it. That is stock up and stock down. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. A lot more to get to. Hang in there. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. Forgotten Fire Winery. Great people over there. And they've got some stuff coming up as well. They've got some really cool things happening up there. They have different bands coming up on the weekends. We've been talking about this for quite some time now, but all the different things that they have at Forgotten Fire Winery. And they got up early yesterday, just like everybody did. And they had the winery was open if you wanted to come in and watch some of the Packers game and such. But Forgotten Fire Winery, ask for it by name at your grocery stores, at your liquor stores, all that kind of good stuff. Wine stores, Forgotten Fire Winery. You can find it at ForgottenFireWinery.com. They have really good award-winning Merlots up there. They've got the Moscato that they had a limited run of. By the way, they've got the Jingle and Mingle coming up. The Jingle and Mingle, Saturday, December 10th. Look for it. Follow them on Facebook because they have their Wine Hunters Day, which is coming up in November. They got the Friday Night Fires going on right now if you're in that area. Stop by and Pest to go and say, I want the Bill Michaels. You can ask for it. Say you heard it here, and they will give you a special as well. And they got a wine, cheese, and wildlife event coming up as well. So many things happening at Forgotten Fire Winery.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers lose in London 27-22 to the New York Giants. Despite over a dozen players on their injury list, the Giants are now 4-1 under first-time head coach Brian Daboll.
A good hard-fought win. Again, it came down to the end. Our guys competed for 60 minutes, made a few more plays in Green Bay. We got things to work on. Obviously, some nicks and bumps and bruises. A long trip back. Get at it. Go next week.
In the final minute, the Packers had the ball on a 3rd and 2 and a 4th and 2, but ran pass play.
The quarterback, so I don't know what A-Rod's seen, and they made a good defensive play to bat it down. So, we just go back to the drawing board and put our heads down and keep working.
The Packers had a couple of 3-and-out drives, while New York scored on 5 consecutive possessions. Aaron Rodgers.
Those 2 drives hurt us. We had a decent drive to get down there, first drive of the second half, and then sack on 3rd down, and then 3-and-out with 2 opportunities to make plays on the next drive. And by the time we knew it, we were down 7.
So the Packers fall to 3-2. Up next, they'll face the Jets, who are now 3-2 after beating the Dolphins 40-17. Matt LaFleur on what troubled him the most on the loss.
Everything. It wasn't good enough. Give New York all the credit. Mike Kafka, Brian Daboll, their players going out there and coming up with a good plan and then out executing. That's what happens in this league. And if you don't come ready to play, and not that we didn't come ready to play, but they obviously out executed us in the second half. And like I told our team, it's just disappointing, but we can't let one loss compound into another.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Hey, don't forget about our friends over at New Mel Medical, helping guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders as well. You got that right. They're helping you everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. And if you're beyond the borders, that's fine. It's all one number, one phone number, 414-455-4451. Again, 414-455-4451. That's the New Mel Medical Center, 414-455-4451. 5-1. Give them a call. And whether it's ED, which they have a 98% success rate of treating, low T, if you're just moody, tired, just dragging ass all the time, and you're over the age of 30, stop in, get the numbers checked. Same thing with maybe the all-in-one weight loss program. They can help you out in so many different ways, but you can't do anything if you don't call. 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. Give them a shout. That's the New Mel Medical Center. Ben, are you taking heat because of your St. Louis Cardinals comments?
Bill, there are many rushing to my defense in the DMs right now saying, oh, yeah, it was great to see them completely collapse and leave early and not act like the best fans in baseball. There are some, however, that are very quick to defend the town and come back at me, from which I can't really say anything else.
Maybe
we saw what played out this weekend.
That the St. Louis Cardinals are some of the smarter fans of baseball because they realized their team was on the down, and therefore they left early to beat the traffic.
If they were smarter, they might have realized that having Yadier Molina taking at bats at this point is kind of a waste late in games.
That I would agree with
as well as Pujols, one would argue.
By the way, our buddy Rick says this week's prime game might be worse than last week's Sunday night game. The Sunday night game is going to be a must watch. I believe that. But yeah, coming up this week, you've got some really good games, as a matter of fact, on the docket. When you talk about the Thursday night game, Washington and Chicago, yeah, I'd rather go outside and slam an appendage in a car door. That I agree with. You also start this week with a bye week. You got teams on bye week this week. You're starting into the byes now. But the late afternoon game on Sunday, which is the 3:25 Central Time, you got the Bills on the road taking on the Chiefs. That's must-see TV. The Sunday night game is also must-see TV. That is the Cowboys at 4-1 on the road in Philadelphia, 5-0. Got to watch that game. Those two games completely agree. Got a good one in Miami, too. The 4-1 Vikings on the road against the 3-2 Dolphins. You got the Ravens going into New York. The Ravens trying to put themselves back on track against the Giants. So you've got some decent ones, but I agree with you. Thursday night, it's just awful. Just awful. How do you get up for that contest? Coming up in the next hour, our good buddy Mike Clemens is going to be joining us. We're going to talk with Mike here in about 15 minutes and going the rest of the way about yesterday's contest. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Still got some time to fire up that grill. BBQ, you know you and I love to do it all season long. BBQ, go to burnpitbbq.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers got upset over in London, losing 27-22 to the Giants yesterday. Green Bay's offense shut out in the second half, while the defense gave up 17 points, had no answer for the New York attack. Quarterback Jair Alexander was asked afterwards if he was worried about the defense. He said no, but if they lost this coming week to the Jets, he would be. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to hear any talk about losing.
Conversation about losing next week. I'm a firm believer in the power of words and manifestation, and we got to check ourselves on that, because talking about that's not winning football. There was conversation about in the locker room, and I don't like it. And Josh's my guy, but we don't need to be talking like that.
The Packers fell to 3-2 on the year, has them sitting in second place in the NFC North behind the 4-1 Vikings. Green Bay will welcome the Jets to town this Sunday. Turning to the Badgers, they got the ship righted on Saturday. They 42-7 win over Northwestern in Jim Leonard's first game as interim coach. It moved them to 1-2 in conference play, a game back in the race for the Big Ten West. Now they're going to head to East Lansing this Saturday to face Michigan State, which is currently winless in conference play.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week, same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry, consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply online at suttontrans.com.
Well, the Bucs are back in Milwaukee after dropping a pair of exhibition games in Abu Dhabi. They've got 2 more preseason games to go before getting things going for real in Philadelphia in the season opener 10 days from today. And the Big Ten announced its media polling this morning for the basketball season. Badgers picked to finish 9th. Indiana is the favorite. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back. Hour number 4. I can't believe we've gotten through 3 hours already. Hour number 4 of the Bill Michaels Show. Holy mackerel, today is flying by. I want to get into the Badgers coming up here in a minute, but Badger Base says, by the way, Bill, worst Pro Football Focus players on defense this week and 3 second-round picks, Watson, Myers, Dillon. You've got the defense 3 first-round picks in Savage, Walker, and Stokes. Is this an indictment of Goody? Darnell Savage did not look good. Stokes, he was all the rage last year. I mean, how can you have an indictment of Goody? You know what I mean? Seriously, how can you have an indictment of Goody? Last year, everybody was saying how Stokes is so good and that when you get Jair back, it's going to be the best secondary. Hell, I was saying that. Stokes made me a believer last year. You know? Josh Myers, he's been struggling. Christian Watson, obviously just doesn't look good. They're not even, he goes down with yet another injury, but they're not even using him hardly. And A.J. Dillon, I don't go in that direction, so to speak. And I just think that there are times that they misuse the offense. But what I'm going to say is you can look at those players and you can say, okay, is that an indictment of Goody? No. A.J. Dillon's been a good player. Let's be honest. Savage has been a good player. Stokes has been a good player, right? Quay Walker, he's a young guy. He's young. He's going to learn. Christian Watson's young. He's going to learn. Myers got his ass handed to him. Dillon, few bad reads. But overall, that's not an indictment of Goody. That's an indictment of coaching. My opinion. Jackson says, do you think it's a case of not making adjustments or making adjustments when adjustments aren't necessary? I think it's once teams show you a different look. Like I said, I think it's very, I don't want to overthink this. Sometimes we get into ourselves and we're kind of like, okay, I'm going to analyze every play and look at everything and I'm going to be right. And no, I just think if you just look at the halves, first half of the season, Packers have put up 65 total points. Second half of the season, they put up 27, and 2 of those were a gimme. In third quarters, 3 out of 5 games, they've been shut out. Had they not had the safety handed to them yesterday, 3 out of 5 games so far, they would have been shut out of the fourth quarter as well. I mean, that's just, there you go. That's it. Teams are adjusting, they're not. Or the ones that they are making are wrong, or they don't have the capability of play calling. I'm strictly talking offense here. The offense isn't doing a whole lot to help the defense. When you're consistently going 3 and out, you're not really putting them in good positions to be successful. But then again, the defense has to go out and shut somebody down. And the fact that they're not aggressive, they're playing on their heels, they're playing back, don't let anybody get behind you. I think that's a non-aggressive play caller, and that's Joe Barry. So that's why I can say overwhelmingly right now, I feel it's coaching. It's not execute. Now, players have to execute. Don't get me wrong. If you're losing your one-on-ones, you're getting beat in the trenches, that's on you. But I just don't know if the coaching staff is doing enough to help them. Sometimes if you're getting beat, sometimes you need to put guys in positions to be successful or do things that make them more successful. I know it's chicken or egg, and I get it. 9 times out of 10, I do nothing but defend the coaches. You know that. Almost to a fault. But in this particular case, nah. Nope. Now when the statistics are starting to stack up and it's becoming a trend. You can get up 20-10, 20-7, 20-12, and you know the second half is coming. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is great. They got it in the bag. Not anymore. Not anymore is what you have to think about is how big is your lead going into halftime? Because is that going to be a big enough lead to fend them off in the second half? Because you're offensively, you're not doing crap. Think about it. You've scored 27 points in the second half of ball games. That's fine. That's on average. If you want to average it out, you know what that comes to? That's 5.2 points in the second half. 27 points averaged out over 5 games. You're averaging 5.2 points-ish. Not going to get the job done. You're not going to win games doing that. 877-867-1670. Now, I want to go back to the Badgers, and I think they deserve to be discussed. Okay? I do. The game they play, does the game on Saturday, and Ben, let me ask you this. Does the game on Saturday give you confidence that it was coaching and they're heading in the right direction? Or do you think they just got an adrenaline burst, they played a really bad team, and it's still a ginormous question mark moving forward?
I think everything you said is true. Number one, that was a terrible, terrible team on both sides of the football they played, which at times we've seen for this Badger team could mean good things because that's when they get things turned around, and that's when the season kind of switches and they start winning again. In terms of coaching, I don't want to use this as an indictment on Paul Chryst, although it's hard. Offensively, it's hard not to. You had Bobby Ingram on the sideline. I guess coming away from this game, the thing that impressed me the most is how organized the team was and the coaches were, because Leonard goes to head coach. He's still calling defensive plays. You have your OC come down from the booth onto the sideline, and there weren't any pre-snap penalties. There weren't any missed looks. There weren't any blown coverages. They were very organized and disciplined. And yes, they played a terrible team, but no self-inflicted wounds you might have expected to see from a new coach trying to juggle everything that's going on in the last week. So I think the coaches did a terrific job. I also think playing a team that bad will make you look good no matter what.
Okay. I would agree with that. I will say this. The one thing that I was looking for and I saw was a lot of confidence out of Graham Mertz. He just looked like a different quarterback. Did he not?
Yes. And that, I think, I'll credit coaching for that one. We saw looks, RPO type from the pistol, things that we haven't seen this offense do really since Jack Cohn in 2019.
Yeah.
And why have they not done it yet? I don't know. Part of that is the offensive line played great and he wasn't touched. So everything was running open. But we saw a lot more depth from this offense scheme-wise than we've seen throughout this year so far. So I think things were made easy. And then, yeah, he balled out. But we've known he has the talent and the potential to do it. I think he was set up really well by the coaches.
877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Travis says, does anybody know what time the Brewers play tonight? I like that. That actually made me laugh. That made me laugh. Wisconsin Cheese Curd King says, so the Packers defense needs energy. I'm going to suggest new mail. People are coming it today. He also says, because the secondary has been limp. How are we looking?
Goodness.
Oh, my God. This is from MR. It says, thoughts. We saw what happened to the Vikings and the Saints defenses after they came back from London. With the way the Jets offense has been rolling, I see some big concern for our defense and therefore winning this game this coming weekend. What do you think? Okay. I'll agree with anything at this point because I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea. I don't know what to expect anymore. I thought for sure they'd go in and get a win. I have not gotten to the point where I could bet my house on a lot of things anymore, but I would have come close that the Packers would have won this game just outright this past weekend. That was just my thought. I just thought, you know what? They're going to get a win. They're going to get a win. This weekend, they're going to get a win. And nah, baby, nah. Boy, was I wrong. I really thought they'd get the win and they'd pull it off. And nope, just never happened. Complete disappointment. And I don't have a legit reason to say, okay, this was just it. It was like a blanket thing. But I point more to coaching than I do anything else. It is what it is. This one's from Anthony, who says, I thought that Graham Mertz looked really good, but I thought the defense played much better. They stepped up. And what about the offensive line? Let's give them some kudos. I go back to what you said, Ben. In a lot of different cases, I think they played a bad team. I think they came out energized. I think the organizational side of things with Jim Leonard and such, I thought went really well. Maybe it was the perfect opponent for the perfect put the train back on the tracks move, and that is with Leonard taking over, and maybe it just all came together. Complete kudos, and you just want to kind of bask in the win that was. And then you just want to say, okay, now let's move forward and see what happens the rest of the way. I know it sucks to look downfield and say, let's talk about next week already when you haven't really even been able to enjoy too much of the win that you just had, especially, and again, I've said this before, and I said it on Friday, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite now, but getting a win down there, even though it is a craptastic opponent, getting a win down there in Evanston, that's not easy to do. They don't consistently do that. Teams don't consistently do that. I think the Badgers did everything they could to win the game, and they did, and they won it in going away fashion. So I give them all the credit in the world, for being able to go down there and get that win. I don't take anything away from them. I'm not going to say, oh, well, whatever, and then make a bunch of excuses why they won. They played a damn good game. They executed extremely well in all facets. I was happy with it. 877-867-1670. Cheddar Ball or who's
so Bill?
Go ahead,
Bill. If I were a blindly positive person, in
Yes.
theory, what positive Kenny would come onto this show today and say is this weekend they play probably the worst secondary in America in Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Their team hasn't won a Big Ten game yet. They've been terrible. Then they play Purdue at home. Purdue can't run the ball. They're finding ways to win, but still not sold on them being that great. Maryland comes to town, and that's a test. Then they go to an inept Iowa team that if they score more than 7 points, they'll probably win.
Right.
They go to Nebraska. We know what Nebraska is. And then it all comes down to Minnesota at home. They're a game back in the West. If I was overwhelmingly positive, I would look to the rest of the season and to be a blind optimist and say a run is there to be had.
Which is not a bad way to look at things if you're a Badger fan. That I would agree with. They can still do it. They could still win the West and find themselves in a. Do you think? Do we dare to dream and say, win out, find yourself in a Big Ten championship game, get yourself back into the top 25 with some of these wins, if indeed they should happen, and oh, by the way, by chance, this team could find themselves possibly extracting revenge on Ohio State, which, by the way, C.J. Stroud looked fantastic this past weekend.
Yeah, no chance. He had more touchdowns than incompletions, but that's Michigan State.
Right.
Again, the worst, probably the worst secondary I've ever seen.
Right.
And they were bad last year.
That I would agree with. Yeah, Michigan State. And correct me if I'm wrong. Michigan State was ranked at the beginning of the season?
Yeah. Mid-teens, I believe.
That's what
they won a
thought.
lot of games last year.
That's what I thought.
But they were fraudulent wins, if you ask me.
They're just a bad football team. I thought I said over the weekend, I had a friend of mine. I said, well, they were ranked in the beginning of the season. They were pretty high. And he said, no, they weren't. I said, I know I didn't read that wrong. I know they were. So I forgot to go look it up. There you have it. 877-867-1670. Mike Clemens going to be joining us coming up next. Stay around. We got a whole lot more of Packers football talk right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Nadella in the title tones featuring Wayne Larrivee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game Day Bus, take 47.
Let's all take
the Game Day Bus
to Titletown.
Let's go. Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now?
Yeah!
And there is your Pella.
Can he say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now, Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down, make no payments, and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
There's a signal right there, that shoulder tap. You ready for Lazard?
Ball batted again. Incomplete. The Giants hold the Packers out of the end zone. 1:02 to go.
Aaron Rodgers right there. Look at him. Touching his right shoulder. He knows he's going here all the way to the right. And look at that. Look at the defensive pressure. They didn't leave anybody else on the field. It was all out. Cover zero. Aaron Rodgers had a quick answer. And McKinney. Wow.
We had a lot of run pass cans, and they played a lot of single high and manned us up. And it's, do you want to run into a loaded box, or you want to try to get it through the air? And give credit, Winks, a guy I got a lot of respect for, and he outcoached us in the second half, and they outplayed us.
I can't believe the news today.
Packers offense did not put up a point in the second half of that game yesterday. 2 points were given to them with 11 seconds left to go in the game regarding the safety. And the Packers have been outscored, numerous times. As a matter of fact, in the third quarter of ball games, they've only put up a total of 17 points in the all season. In the third quarter, they've been shut out of 3 third quarters. They've been offensively shut out of 3 fourth quarters so far, and they put up a total of 12 points. 2 of those, like I had mentioned, were due to the safety. Their second half offense sucks, for lack of a better term. Mike Clemens now joining us on the line. Michael Wink Martindale had their number, man.
Yeah, and Bill, I'm not going to be able to tell listeners what the Packers need to do differently, X's and O's. All I can tell you is this. The Packers have now been a far healthier team against good teams that were decimated by injuries. This Giants team was not supposed to be this good because they have sucked. They're off to their best start in 13 years, and they got a brand new head coach in there. And then they've got this defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. And I'm beginning to wonder, this is a tough guy. Here's a guy from Dayton, Ohio, great football state, a linebackers coach. His family was in the trucking business, and he left that to get into coaching football. And do you remember that game last year when the Packers played the Ravens? And they didn't, talk about injuries. They didn't have to play Lamar Jackson. They played Tyler Huntley at quarterback. And had they been converted a 2-point conversion, they would have beat the Packers last year on the road. And the defense was given LaFleur and Rodgers fits in that game is because Wink Martindale, Don Martindale, was the defensive coordinator. And we played this on Friday's show, but I want to play it again for people. This is a tough hombre because he was asked about facing Aaron Rodgers, and he said, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is like dealing with a snake.
It's like owning a python and say, don't worry about it, he won't bite. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. To me, there's no difference. I think that, he's just as effective today as he was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. That would be like saying that, I don't know, Michael Jordan can't hit any 3-pointers. You're going to guard him outside, and then he'll hit 5 or 6 3-pointers on you. So he's playing at the top level. When I'm retired in a golf cart someplace down in Florida hitting a golf ball, I hope he's in the foursome in front of me, and I'll hit a golf ball into him.
Well, there you go. If he catches him on the golf course, I guess you watch out for him. But in the meantime, Wink Martindale and as far as the defensive coordinators go, there's just some guys like Zimmer for years when he was with Cincinnati had the number of Rodgers. Martindale seems to have the number of Rodgers. He just kind of figures out what it is they're going to do and how they dial it up.
Yeah, or is it Rodgers and are we adding Matt LaFleur to that?
I think you have to.
So LaFleur and this team just get off the plane. There's something that President George W. Bush once said to voters, and that is when your president travels overseas, give him a break for a day or two, because if he says something silly or out of context at a press conference, it might be the jet lag.
Right.
So LaFleur got off the plane. Yeah, LaFleur got off the plane, and he's at that beautiful resort, The Grove, about 20 miles north of London, where they stayed. And it's got a full facility, and it's got a full football practice field there as well. And so we talked about how the week when he's going up against Belichick, and now this week against the Giants, that LaFleur's been snippy, under pressure because they had to cram in the game plan a day or two early. He said that this game felt like a Thursday game. So LaFleur had this press conference on Friday after we got off the air where you could tell he was a little woozy, but listen to this story he talked about when he had to face Wink Martindale when he was the offensive coordinator for the Titans.
What time is it? I'm trying to figure it out right now. A little bit. I don't know. Am I coming across as cranky? Not yet? All right. Yeah, anytime you go against a defense coached by Wink, it's a great 100 yards of offense, and it was probably one of the most humbling moments in my career. I mean, we got it taken to us. So I think he does just a great job of keeping you off balance. You really aren't quite sure what you're going to get. It's so game plan driven. We played them last year, and they had a lot of adversity they were facing. They had a lot of guys out, and he had a very unique game plan in terms of he was going to take number 17 away for us. And you're not quite sure what you're going to get, but some of the looks he presents to you definitely gives you some big time challenges, especially in the pass game with some of the protections, also in the run game, because we know that at any time he could bring both corners off the edge or, just give you some really tough looks. So I like the plan we have. Now we got to go out there and execute and just be ready to adjust.
Maybe Wayne Martindale, if he ever comes up for another job opportunity, might have an interest in coming to Green Bay because the Packers defensively certainly don't do a lot of the things that Martindale does. But, like Matt LaFleur said, Mike, whether it's the pass or the run, and it seems like the Packers at certain times when they could have run the ball, didn't run the ball.
I looked it up, Bill. It was 4 years ago this week. And that the Titans and Matt LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, were home when those Ravens came in and just shut down his offense. And I think it got a little bit into the coach's head. In the meantime, now you're into yesterday's game, and you've got a 3rd and 2 and a 4th and 2. That's what it said on the TV screen. Actually, in the game book, it's logged as a 3rd and 1. And Aaron Rodgers, not once, but twice, throws the ball, and it gets deflected. He's trying to throw Lazard on the 4th and 2, if you will, off to the side, and it gets deflected. And there's guys that are coming in untouched, and like, who is scheming this? Now, this is a little bit of the dissension you're hearing in the Packers locker room after losing that game yesterday. And a lot of people asking, you've got Aaron Jones, you've got A.J. Dillon. You're 1 yard away to keep the drive alive and to tie this game up or maybe go for the 2 points. And so listen to Aaron Jones asked, gee, when it's 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2, shouldn't you or A.J. Dillon be getting the football?
I put my money on it. You give me an AJ 2 downs to get 2 yards. I put my money on it. So, but at the same time, I'm not the quarterback, so I don't know what A-Rod's seeing. And they made a good defensive play to bat it down. So, we just go back to the drawing board and put our heads down and keep working.
I like the fact that after the game, Pete Doherty asked the tough question. Aaron Rodgers said that he's not calling the plays, but he likes the plays. And yet Matt LaFleur is, we're not sure if he's the one calling them or if Rodgers is checking into other things. You don't know. But what I do know is that once they get outside the scripted plays, the offense is stale.
Right. A lot of people are wondering, maybe a run play was called there and Rodgers checked out of it thinking he'd, flip the ball in for a touchdown for whatever his reasons were. And Matt LaFleur was asked, is Rodgers checking into the right play at the line of scrimmage?
No, Aaron does a great job with that stuff of calling what we want. No, not in our mindset, no.
It seems like one of the things that did work was to get the ball more to Randall.
I think it just kind of happened naturally. He took advantage. We thought, he won some matchups, and unfortunately, we didn't get him the ball enough, obviously.
Oh, okay. I don't know why, you needed to get to Randall Cobb more or to A.J. Dillon. I think that, Mike, we see a lot of movement. We see a lot of motion. We saw misdirection. We saw play action. And then all of a sudden it was just shotgun after that. It seemed like it just dies.
Well, and, LaFleur was asked post-game then, so what's the one thing you think you did wrong to lose to the Giants?
Everything, it wasn't good enough. Again, give New York all the credit. Mike Kafka, Brian Daboll, their players going out there and coming up with a good plan and then out executing. That's what happens in this league. And if you don't come ready to play, and not that we didn't come ready to play, but they obviously out executed us in the second half. And like I told our team, it's just disappointing, but we can't let one loss compound into another.
Mike, and he's right. I understand that, but I think there's guys now. I don't know if they're questioning the coaching or questioning the guys around them, but you get a guy like Jair Alexander that says, when asked specifically about whether or not the defense is, starting to become in peril, and says, I don't know, we'll wait till the next game to find out, if we lose the next game or something like that. That's just reality, man. That's what it is.
Bill, when these players talk to us, like on Wednesdays, we're basically getting what the head coach said in the team meeting early Wednesday morning. Okay? Because these are 25-year-old guys. It's like, well, what am I supposed to say about the Jets? Well, the coaches put it up there. Here's the top 3 things you need to know about the Jets. Their weapons are and all that kind of things. And they just sort of yesterday, you heard LaFleur right there saying, you don't want these wins to start to, pile up, or losses, rather. You don't want these losses to pile up. And clearly, he said this to the team in the locker room. Because Jair Alexander said, and this was off microphone, he just said, someone said, is this defense as good as everybody said it was going to be? Are you concerned about the defense? And Jair said, I don't know. We'll wait till we play the Jets. Well, by the way, the Jets won 40-17. Oh,
Jair was just saying he's not concerned about the defense yet, but he will be if you guys lose next week. Are you concerned about the offense yet?
No. And frankly, I don't like all this conversation about losing next week. I'm a firm believer in the power of words and manifestation, and we got to check ourselves on that, because talking about that that's not winning football. There was conversation about it in the locker room, and I don't like it. And Josh's my guy, but we don't need to be talking like that. I understand there's a reality in this game, but there's a win and a loss every single game. But there's also a reality in life that what you're putting your energy towards, that's where your focus is going to go. So I'm not going to address prospects of losing up here other than we just lost this game. Offensively, we haven't put 2 halves together. There's a lot that factors into that, everything from calls to execution, to the momentum, to defensive stops, to adjustments that we make that are good or shouldn't make. But it's a lot of execution. There's games like this where our defense is not going to be up to their normal standards, and we got to pick them up. We had chances, a lot of chances. So definitely the offense. This one will weigh heavy on us on this flight back.
Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We're talking with Mike Clemens. Packers lose yesterday. We're breaking it all down for you. Everything coming out of the locker room. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready,
This
Hang on. For all of you watching on the live stream, we're just resetting. That's all. Just trying to let you know. It'll all be back up and running here in a few.
Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Coming back up. Right? I know. No, they the last text I got was 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock this evening. So we'll see. There we go.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
3 minutes. No, the red light here in the studio is still on. No. I don't know what the hell happened because we've got 2 grids. But with the electric being out, maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know. I'll say this, though. It's worst case scenario because it's supposed to never go out. So whatever happened with the power in the area, maybe it affected both. I don't know. Oh, did it really? Oh. Well, I saw the...
Bill Michaels will resume in
I saw
2
the
minutes.
trucks down the street. Yeah, oh, it's loud. I saw the trucks down the street. Yeah. I don't know. Well, if you look, that one truck, the real big one, on the corner there has the guy up in the bucket, and he's working the wires. I don't know if that's Spectrum, though, or if that's the energy. There's no marking on the truck. But that power, whatever that switching station is, it's right around the corner there. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But if cable goes down, we're on 2 grids. If the power goes down, we're fucked. I don't know. We got the generator. That's all we have. So my assumption is that the power is affecting the cable, which is affecting the internet, which is affecting
Bill Michaels will resume in.
So, I mean, it wouldn't matter if, we had a regular radio station and a studio built. It wouldn't matter because both lines of the internet are fucked anyway. Right. I don't know.
Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Third and 8. Four-man rush. Pressure coming. Rodgers in trouble. Down he goes. Dexter Lawrence with his third sack of the year.
We had a lot of run pass cans, and they played a lot of single high and manned us up. And it's, do you want to run into a loaded box, or do you want to try to get it through the air? And unfortunately, that didn't work for us. So, like I said, give credit, Winks, a guy I got a lot of respect for, and he outcoached us in the second half, and they outplayed us.
Welcome back to the program, I should say, but that is Matt LaFleur. And the Green Bay Packers knocked off yesterday. Now it's kind of back to the drawing board, and they got another New York team, the Jets, coming to Lambeau Field. This portion of the program brought to you by the Bay Motel Green Bay, or the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com, and they have the Bay Family Restaurant, which has home-style cooking all the time. Great place to go, and they have openings. And if you need a reservation, go to baymotelgreenbay.com. In the meantime, Mike, I'll tell you this. I said I wouldn't have bet my house, but I bet quite a bit that the Packers would have won the game this past weekend. You got a team in the Giants that's got a quarterback with a bad wheel. 3 of their starting 6 wide receivers are out. They lost some corners. They were down 4 cornerbacks during that game, 3 offensive linemen during that game, and they still won. It's like there's no way they should have won, but they did.
And they beat a Green Bay Packers team that the network analysts still say is in the conversation for the Super Bowl. But the Giants are doing that with this depleted roster, and they're now 4-1. They're off to their best start, in 13 seasons after just a drought of 5 years. And maybe the roster wasn't so bad after all. Maybe it was the coaching. And their new head coach is a guy that's been hired by Bill Belichick. He's been hired by, Sean McDermott up at the Bills. He's been hired by Nick Saban down in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a serious dude. And here's how he carried himself after knocking off the Packers yesterday.
Good hard-fought win. Again, it came down to the end. Our guys competed for 60 minutes, made a few more plays than Green Bay. We got things to work on. Obviously, some nicks and bumps and bruises, a long trip back. So I just appreciate all the support, the crowd support here. It was obviously a lot of Packers fans. It felt like an away game, which I know was their home game. But at the end of the game, it felt like a home game. So when it feels like that, you put a lot into it each week. Players, staff, coaches. So you get that win and, immediately after you're pretty excited and go to the locker room, drink of water, and come out and do a press conference.
Now, Mike, in the second half of that ball game specifically, the Giants, they hung onto the ball quite a bit of time, and the Packers defense didn't do a lot to help. And we had talked about the lack of turnovers last week that this team is really yet to be able to come up with on a consistent basis. So you wonder if that in any way affected for the length of time the offense was on the sideline, if it affected them.
Yeah, I thought that opening drive that Green Bay had 13 plays, 75 yards, and the TD toss to Mercedes Lewis, who was wide open, the triple fake. That's what we're looking for. And it's again, it seems like Green Bay, they get off their scripted first 15 or 20, and they get into it a bit. They come out in the second half, and the Giants are now just clocking the game. They're 11-play drive, 15-play drive, 7-8 minutes long. Green Bay goes on in response with a 3-and-out. And so we talked to the big dog, Mercedes Lewis, about how much does that affect the Packers offense?
Yeah, I mean, it messes with your rhythm as an offense watching. It messes with your rhythm. And I think for us, that's what we want to do, right? Just keep the other team off, let our defense get some rest. Kept our defense out there. I know my guys are out there winded, and we just didn't make enough plays. This is one of those that we had to have, and we knew that. But also, we got the men in this room. We'll bounce back. But it's all about keeping things in perspective and understanding that, like, yo, it's one game. Let's not let one game turn into two, and two turn into three. You know how it goes. But, we got the leadership in this room. We let this one get away, and like I said, give them credit. They played 64 minutes, and we'll learn from this one. Like I said, we got to get back, lick our wounds, and Tuesday, be ready to get ready for the next week.
And, this team, Mike, just, like you had mentioned, the inability to score in the second half of these games, man, the fact that they are just averaging just 5 points a half at this point. When you look at the total number of points scored in the second half of the season, they get off those plays. They just can't get back in rhythm.
Alan Lazard has made some nice diving catches. He is a target. He is an option on third down. And yet so many times now in the last couple of weeks, Rodgers just seems to be off in his timing when they're trying to throw the deep balls. That's kind of inexplicable. And Lazard was asked, what does he think was the biggest reason that the Packers offense failed to score at all in the second half against the Giants?
I think, it was hard for us. We only had one drive in the first or the second or the third quarter, I should say. And then obviously getting the ball back again, I believe it was tied at that point and everything. So we kind of just got machines as well. So I think it's just we're only a few plays away, whether it's a turnover, explosion, a touchdown, or just someone just, making a big third down stop or conversion. That's, really the momentum swingers in this game. So, like I said, we just need to go back and evaluate the film and not be too hard on ourselves and be able to learn from it and keep growing.
Mike, I think, you look at the opposite side of the football, offensively speaking, the big spark that they had was not only the fact that Daniel Jones ran with the football a couple of times, which surprised everybody, but Saquon Barkley, I mean, even with the shoulder injury, he's back, man. He's got that burst again.
Yeah, and, this Giants team, they shocked everybody opening week with upset the Titans in Nashville. They got past the Panthers. They lost a close one to the Cowboys. They beat up a physical Bears team last week. And Saquon Barkley, man, this is his second year coming off the ACL. And he's articulate, and he's excited now about what's going on with the Giants after, going through Dave Gettleman's era, which was kind of crazy. And he talked about how big of a statement you just make by beating the Packers, going to 4-1 in a, high-profile game in London.
I don't think it's a statement to the rest of the league. To be completely honest, it's the NFL. Every time you go against somebody, this is in college. It isn't like you're playing at Penn State and you're going against your week one team who's someone you should beat by 40. It's a great start, but like I said, you can't get too caught up in it. You just got to keep working. I mean, there's a reason why we're 4-1, and that's because of the process, and that's because we got guys coming to work and believing in the system and setting the culture, setting the standard, and following it.
Mike, when you look at the Packers defense, and we had talked about this going into the game, that they had to win in the trenches, I don't think they did. They put Jerron Reed, and they were using TJ Slayton, the big bodies, and they were trying to stop the run and trying to stuff the run. But I wouldn't say it was a successful day in the trenches.
No, except that they did shut down Saquon Barkley overall, a guy who's getting 150, 160 yards a game and leads the league. Except when he lined up in the Wildcat, and, it's like the Packers didn't even have a plan for it, even though he showed that, the week before when they were running out of quarterbacks against the Bears. And so Big Kenny Clark was asked, okay, Saquon, you held him to 70 yards. He had the 140-yarder. He got the one touchdown, but he is so talented. How do you think you guys sized up overall?
Proud about how we started. We gave up that big play in that Wildcat run. Other than that, he didn't really get too many explosives in the run game. Did a pretty good job at stopping the run for the most part. We just can't give up explosives. When you talk about defense, you can play 1,000 plays good, and that one play, that one explosive play can change the game. So we gotta just do a better job at limiting explosives and all that kind of stuff. They start making big plays. Penalty shot us in the foot, and they just made more plays than us. Honestly, they made plays when it counted, and just on both sides of the ball, it just wasn't up to our standard. It just wasn't good enough, especially in the second half.
The Mike, the defense, like he had mentioned, just not good enough in the second half. And the only thing I can say is the defense to me looks like they're playing off the ball, looks like they're playing soft, and there's not much aggression there and not being much proactive there.
They tried to key on Saquon Barkley. You got Daniel Jones there with a sore ankle, and yet still he was able to run with the football and make some first downs. But he's throwing to practice squad guys at wide receiver. And so Preston Smith asked about, here's a defense that was highly touted. It looks good on paper. The draft they've put into it over the last 2 or 3 years, the free agents they've signed. How did the defense fail against the Giants?
It's a lot of things, a lot of mistakes we made, a lot of things we could have did better, a lot of plays we wish we had back. But, the result is the result. And we just got to make sure that we're critical of ourselves when we watch the film, that we're critical of the mistakes we made and make sure that we fix those mistakes and move forward with a positive attitude and an attitude that we're going to attack next week and make sure that we don't make those mistakes again and give up any big plays.
So what changed from training camp? And you guys dominated. I watched it every day. And all of a sudden, it just seemed like now the season's started and you weren't making those mistakes in training camp.
I have no idea what happened. I feel like we was playing pretty well overall, and then just we're allowing too many. We're making too many mistakes that a lot of teams are capitalizing off of. But we're gonna settle down. It's a long season. We got 12 more games left. As crazy as that sounds, after 5, we got 12 more games left, and we got a lot of things we can fix going forward, and a lot of things we can work on to get back to that defense we were in training camp, or the defense we were known for being.
Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, come back. Next segment, we'll finish up with Mike Clemens, and we'll finish up looking at this Green Bay Packers team against the New York Giants and that ugly, ugly loss. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This fall, it's give and take at Potawatomi. Thursday nights, give yourself a shot at winning slot play or up to $5,000. And with 60 winners each week, you've got a good chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. Just play with your club card October 1st through November 17th for entries. The Give and Take Game Show, each Thursday and only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More at pacebig.com/give and take. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I can't hear you!
Aye, Captain!
Oh! Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
I didn't expect anything less. You know, our fans travel deep wherever we go, honestly. You know, we could be at Bikini Bottom and they'll be there.
Well, there you have it. Little SpongeBob. You don't usually expect that on this program, but you got it. Mike Clemens joining us, and Packers fans traveled heavy. Huge kudos to Packers fans and those that got over to London. Not only those that live there, but those that traveled there.
Yeah, Jair is convinced that they'd follow Packer fans would follow him to the depths of the ocean where SpongeBob lives. But you know, Aaron Rodgers, everybody in the state listening on the statewide right now, they hear stories about, well, you know, my kid went up to him and tried to get an autograph, and he blew him off. All right. You know, posing with selfies with Packer fans. So Rodgers was asked after the game yesterday, you know, what do you say to these Packer fans that came from literally all over the world?
Well, first of all, we're sorry. You know, we wanted to come here and put on a show and win a football game. The crowd was outstanding. I mean, this was just a fantastic experience, I think, for all of us. There's guys in that locker room that never been across the pond, and just the hospitality from the fans when we were out. You know, me and Alan on Friday was outstanding. The crowd response today, taking the field, was incredible. Seeing the different flags from different countries was amazing. The fans were loud the entire time. It was outstanding. And so much love for Packer world. You know, I think we can say that now. It's been Packer Nation for the first 100 and couple years. And hopefully the team will get a chance to come back and play here again, because it was a special week for all of us, one that we'll never forget. Obviously, it would have been a little sweeter with a win, but big loads of gratitude on behalf of our team for the fans and the people of London and the folks at the Grove who were outstanding. The food was just incredible, and the hospitality was first rate. So big thanks to our European fans, and hopefully we'll be back.
Mike, well, now this week, kind of a short week, flying back from London. You got to turn it around, watch some film, get back into practice, and get your body set. So, man, it's going to be an interesting one.
Home at noon against the Jets team, and another great running back in Breece Hall, who just went wild over the Dolphins yesterday at home in New York, but they beat them first back-to-back wins for Robert Salah, Matt LaFleur's best friend, while he's been head coach in New York.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff. Mike Clemens, kudos to him. That's going to do it for us on a quirky Monday, weird Monday. Hopefully everything's restored and back to normal tomorrow, and we'll be back at it yet again. But until